Good morning, Aries. This is your March reading. We're going to do a couple of layers and see what else comes through for you all. We are in Pisces season, and we are looking forward to the new year, probably when your birthday is. So let me know how you're resonating with March already. The cards will tell us a bit more about the depth of what this month will bring, right? And they're going to act as a awareness hack. So the reason why we do readings a lot of the time is we want to pull out things from our subconscious or unconscious mind and bring them into consciousness so we can work with them. So tarot is excellent for that because tarot has both light and dark all the way through it. And it does serve a lot of parameters, particularly in the 3D realm. So we can be aware of the sectors of life and how they're playing out and how we need to encompass more awareness around those sectors. But I will also be using my Stalk Your Shadow Oracle deck, this one. So if you haven't seen it already, we do sell this online. However, I've made this so that we can access a part of the shadow that you need to understand for all of March. Now, shadow work is pulling something that is not conscious yet and not in awareness. It is often an uncomfortable part of who you are. And if we can pull it out of the shadow, bring it into the light, love it, bring illumination to it, integrate it, understand it, and then use it to become better people or better versions of ourselves and move forward knowing that little part of what used to be unconscious, then shadow work is immensely valuable. At the Ankara Academy, we do shadow work all the time. So I created this deck as a companion for my students going through shamanic training, because as they start to access their birth totem, their power animals, their guides, we must be mindful of the shadow aspects as well. So it's all well and good that you get a beautiful animal that has all these wonderful qualities and you can look them up and research them. But what are the actual weaknesses? What are the setbacks? What are the areas that we're going to have to work really hard on? That's what we'll be using the shadow deck for, just to bring in another layer. So I hope that this reading has depth for you and a little bit of grit, and can prepare you for the collective energies and the individual transits coming for you this month. So if you're Aries sun, you can be listening to this. Also, if you're Aries rising or Aries moon, there'll still be aspects of it that is quite relevant for you. We'll keep it at a 3-card draw. Keep it simple, but I'll blow it open for you. So for those of you that read tarot, 9 of Cups does signal to us that we have built something that is worthy of reflection, worthy of celebration. It also recommends, I guess, a level of self-worth that really honors where you're at. It is a generally positive card with a slight warning to it. So let's take note of how far you've come. This is what this card talks about. Let's take note of everything that you've built, everything that you've created, everything that you've moved through, everything that you've healed, and look back and think, well, yeah, 5-10 years ago, I wouldn't have reacted that way. 5 or 10 years ago, I wouldn't have had the capacity to do what I'm doing now. Take note of everything that you're proud of and start banking it in yourself as if that's going to relate to more self-worth. So 9 of Cups really speaks to us of you've done really well. You're not quite at the completion level, particularly when it comes to emotional awareness, when it comes to processing your emotions. You might be becoming much better at expressing your emotions rather than repressing your emotions. And congratulate yourself for that. It's an epic time to do some journaling around how far I've come. It might be a good idea to look back on old photos or old memories and say, that version of myself actually it has changed. She is a different person. This will also help us to calculate and take note of everything that we're not anymore. So when you do look back with that nostalgic sense and you do look back at that version of yourself, please take note of the parts of yourself that you have transformed, the parts of yourself that you're hoping to never go back to. It could almost be like a funeral for you. A part of you is trying to die. Let's take note that that part is old and you've done so well to transform it. You've done so well to move beyond it. And now it's time to wrap it up, right? With the new astrological new year coming and probably your birthday coming, we've got a lot of cycles coming to completion. And we want to take note of everything we've been through. So you could do a reflection of everything that happened last year and where you're at now, and a reflection on a little bit longer in time and how long you've been building that sense of emotional and spiritual nourishment. That's what cups are about, emotional and spiritual nourishment. And you've done really well to build and create that. That's part of our awareness as we move forward. So congratulate yourself and know that your self-worth improves the more you prioritize emotional and spiritual nourishment in your life, despite everybody else's needs. Yeah, you're not giving away your cups here, you're banking them. So if you were giving away all your cups, you wouldn't have that many. You've got a lot, which means the nourishment around you is good. It's not completely maxed, but you're 90% of the way there. So you've done really well there. The next layer of the story, let's go a little bit deeper. The reason why we need more self-worth, the reason why we've banked all those cups, the reason why we've had to prioritize emotional and spiritual nourishment for us is it so that we can come into union with others, right? So that we can actually learn how to fill up our cups with connection, help to fill other people's cups without overgiving. There's no sense of overgiving here. This is harmony, right? This is the beautiful and natural and healthy push-pull from our relationships. Some people say it would be the soulmate card. I like to reframe that and say it's the card where healthy connection is about to flourish. So I'm not really interested in you're about to meet your soulmate or someone's about to come into your life to change everything. No, you've done the work. This is really important. That means that now connection can thrive because you've learned from prioritizing your emotional nourishment. You've learned what that takes. It's not an easy task at times. The Two of Cups comes in when we're about to meet our counterparts, when we're about to reflect back to other people who we are and experience them at the same time. It's healthy connection. It's not even because relationships aren't black and white like that. It feels like there's an ebb and flow between two people that is both nourishing and testing, challenging and uplifting, fulfilling and interesting. It is not a toxic relationship. It is not a burden. It is not a huge drain on the resources. It's actually that natural give and take. Now, if we go too far into toxic patterns, it means that we're actually sabotaging ourselves and not keeping our nourishment top of the list. So we have to take accountability and responsibility for that part. Relationships are meant to ebb and flow. They're not meant to be 100% black and white fair. They are meant to be in this ebb and flow where no one particularly gets too drained from another person. They might get drained from their own systems. They might get drained from their own work. They might get drained from their own sabotage. But in that dance, there is always respect. And the cups are always flowing back and forth, you see. There is harmony here. So if one dips slightly, the other one can fill. If the other one then dips, the other one can fill. And it actually takes a lot of awareness and intuition and self-responsibility to know when that's happening. Because if we see one of our loved ones dip and we don't have enough in our cup, Two of Cups really talks about a relationship where that person goes, I see where you're at. I don't actually have enough to fill you up. What are our other options here? How else can I support you? Because I don't have the nourishment to overflow. Rather than, I'll use all of my nourishment and pour it into your cup so you feel better, and then I'm stuck in resentment. That's not what Two of Cups talks about. It talks about this. 10% off the top for you, 10% off the top for me. Not 60% for you, 100%, 40, and we're all a mess, right? This is a good sign, but it does come with a warning as well. Because what does it actually take in us to have that balancing effect? What does it actually take for us in boundaries and investment and commitment and speaking our truth and communication and all of those foundations of healthy relationship? What does it take to find that bliss? And maybe we start with one, but then we want to branch out to other people. We don't want it to be only focused on one. We have one healthy relationship or two, and the rest are not fulfilling. It's really about starting that balance with one, ending up on another, a 3, 4. Community can now be this ebb and flow based on your awareness and your center, right? Someone that is centered and grounded all the time and in awareness of their own needs knows when they can help in that ebb and flow and knows when they can't. So it's also healthy to take that distance, knowing how much you have in your cup. Yeah. And the interesting part for the next part of the story is the Lover's card. So this is a major arcana card, which means it has a little bit more weighting and a bit more influence. It's going to affect your systems more. It does talk about connection. But what I like about this card is it talks about connection from a place where two sovereign individuals come together. For me, there's no codependency in the Lover's card. For me, there is the bounty of connection, intimacy, sexuality, all of those things. But there is a bounty there when two individuals, knowing who each other are, knowing what they are to themselves, prioritizing how different they are from other people and that that's okay, can still find that union, can still find that depth. The Lover's card does talk about depth. It can be a much different plane to this. This is about balancing your emotional, spiritual nourishment through connection with other people. This is about the jackpot of what does it actually mean to be intimately connected with others within sovereignty. This is not codependence. This is not immediate wants. This is not ego driven. I want that person to be this, that, and the other, and I want to make sure that they make me laugh every day. No, this is actually what happens magically between two souls when they are connected on such a plane that is not just 3D, and it's not just Heart Emperor, and it's not just 5D. It's actually in the depth of that contract. So the Lover's card for me is about deep soul contracts. Soul contracts are not about everything going right. Soul contracts about evolution. Evolution can be messy sometimes. It can be deep, it can be gritty, it can be dark. It can be blissful, ecstatic, euphoric, and life-changing, and everything in between. So when these soul contracts come in, the energy merges, but the identities don't have to merge. From a cellular level, we are experiencing one of our greatest mirrors, and we can have multiples of these, and we are seeing everything that they are and everything they're reflecting back to us, and therefore everything that we are in connection with them. It can be a fairly overwhelming state at times, but how do we encompass all multi-dimensional frames of that and handle their multi-dimensional selves as well? This is no place for egotistical dopamine. Like, I'm trying to frame it the best for you so you understand. This is not about a quick fix, this card. It's not about relieving pressure through status. It's not like I have someone, therefore people will think that's good for me. It's not about getting those things that we want in the moment to prove to us that we are validated and we have the attention that we need from someone. That's also not what we're here for. It's this huge well of connection, opening up multidimensionally to each other staying within our sovereignty, having boundaries, and all that healthy stuff that the Two of Cups have already taught us, and actually going into the experience, going into the unknown and the uncertainty of what it could be. This can be past life connection. This can be a very divine sense of what it takes to get the evolutionary gold from relationships. It is not how they're saying it is in the movies at all. This takes commitment, this takes work, this takes time, energy, and money, this takes resources, but I guarantee you it's the most rewarding part of why we're here. But we have to be in a multi-dimensional story, which is figure out your own needs first. Find out what your self-worth needs to be. You need to have a good relationship with yourself for this to even happen properly. When these cups get too drained and too full, we have to go back a step to where we banked our own self-worth. If you're putting all of your resources in someone else's cup, you end up with none. Your self-worth plummets, your insecurity shines, and then this becomes very unstable. But if you bank these two, this is divine human connection, which has the capacity to change your entire reality. And if we can hold it, and if we can be in that union, we will start to evolve exponentially, right? When sovereign beings come together in true love and respect, it doesn't have to be only in the intimate connection, right? This card to me talks about loving people in your life deeply, understanding what the soul contract needs, the maintenance, the work, the investment, the self-development needed to stay in it, because a lot of deep contracts need so much nourishment, so much support, and so much self-development all the time just to withstand the potency of that alchemy. It can be insane. You know, when people say, I've met my soulmate, I usually say, great, you're probably going to need a therapist just to go through the depths of the reflection. That's why it's often you meet them and it's apart. You try again and it's apart. It's really hard alchemy to withstand because every part of you is going to get flushed out. Every part of your shadow, all of your insecurity, every connection that wasn't divine in its loving contract will now look tainted and old. It will be like, that wasn't love. And this love is not what I thought it was going to be, right? But if we dissolve the ego and we keep these pillars going, we actually have a shot at staying in connection and union with those people that have that alchemy for us. Very, very cool, Aries. So March is about that three-layered journey and understanding how we get there, how we hold it, what resources we need, the intentions behind it, and what's the support base around us too. So we keep on banking those cups. Yeah. It's going to be an emotional time. Yeah. So March will be heightened emotions. Make sure you understand that and do the self-care necessary. Right. So our shadow card as well, very relationship based for you, Aries. 33, if you like numbers, is the fairy wren. Now, the cool thing about the fairy wren is obviously they're small birds. They can move and dart around as they please. It brings in that nature with people. Now, because it's a shadow card, I want to go into the warning signals about it. If we're looking at connection and union, the fairy wren brings in this energy of maybe moving around very quickly. We can move, fluctuate, and adapt very quickly. We can do that with people as well. We can check in, read the situation, figure out what we've got, move on here. But we also need focus. So what is our focus for these relationships? What is our focus for the nourishing aspect? Do we actually want to dart around and sample a tiny bit of this and a tiny bit of that and accumulate it all and go, oh, okay, I think it's about this? Or do we actually want to focus in and use all of our energy systems for that which we truly want and need so that we can align our highest needs with our day-to-day actions? So this energy speaks to me of you might have heightened emotions. You might actually be going into fight and flight a little bit. It might get a little bit on the heightened emotions scale. So there might be a little bit of anxiety creeping in around all the things we need to do and all the things available to us and all the people we want in our lives. But remember, focus. Once Aries season actually kicks in, you're going to be more comfortable, and there'll be another reading for that. But while we're navigating towards that, be mindful of your energy systems and focus in on what is about the highest need, big picture for you, right? You do have the energy, you do have the capacity, but you don't have to use it all, right? We can still be doing those things that nourish us. We can still be working on those relationships that are coming back into health. We can be going one step deeper in the lovers aspect. So one step deeper with people and then navigating that plane, right? If we go all the way to depth, it's really hard to integrate and actually be in 3D. So use the fairy wren energy, understand that it's there. And if the energy comes up here and your heart starts to flutter and the anxiety gets too much, bring it back down and bring it back down. So that might be about focusing on expression, movement, exercise, getting the emotions through your body, but not letting them run the show, right? So fairy wren has the capacity to move around to different people. Let's use that, but stay focused on what you want, focused on what you need. All right, Aries, I hope that helps. I love you so much. Bye.